town. You're in my head and it's very moving, baby. April rain makes me smile again. I think of you, don't know what I'm doing. Down and out, I'm all over town. You're in my head and it's very moving, baby. When your head spins around, come tumbling down. Will you miss your heart when your heart leaves town? Will you miss your heart when your heart leaves town? When your heart leaves town.
Fairies can be elusive creatures, rarely witnessed and never captured. Whether you're talking flower fairies, house brownies, Cornish pixies, Welsh puka or the common garden gnome, tales of fairy folk can be found throughout the British Isles and beyond. Here's a woman from Australia who's created her own secret escape for when she needs some fairy time.
My name is Kate and I'm 52 and I live just north of Sydney. I would like to think I'm fun and adventurous, and I'm going to show you something that is secret in my wardrobe. I believe all children should have fantasy and imagination. So this is my wardrobe, and of course there is nothing here until you find a secret door in the wardrobe. And in this secret door is a fairy room. That's the tea set to have little fairy tea parties. And this is the little toadstool that can sometimes have little treats in it. And that's the little mermaid cup, also to have things in. Down the bottom is a dragon's den, which I'll take you down to in a minute. And more little fairy things. My little granddaughter absolutely adores playing with these. A little fairy tea set for the fairies to come and have some fun with. Toadstool to put little dragons and things on. And we've got the beautiful little butterfly light. This little frog, but his light bulb is blowing. And of course, we have a bookshelf with a whole set of dinosaur and dragon books. And then we come down into the dragon's den, where we have a dragon with its babies who are sound asleep. There is a moon to go in here, but it fell down. Turning round to look back up at the little fairy room. And this is a place I also come when I'm upset or I just need some downtime. This is my sanctuary to come and chill out.
There is a place, do come with me to a haven I know well. Beyond the ancient woodlands you'll be, within my fairy dell. You must stay calm for you to see such wonders, no parallel. They come, they dance with gaiety within my fairy dell. Legends of their frolics rife, or so the legends tell. Come one, come all, and witness thus within my fairy dell. Creatures come with mystic call, in the glade where the apple trees dwell. The dragonfly doth spread its wings within my fairy dell. Sunbeams glisten on bracken and fern, bladderwort to bluebell. The fairy folks will hear our call within my fairy dell. Enter ye unto my ring, my tinkling bell doth knell. You mustn't speak of the wonders you'll see within our fairy dell.
I'm just reading up on all the various types of fairies, and there's a lot more than you think there is. Not just flower fairies, there's the Cornish pixie or piskie. There's Joan the Wad, which is the ruler of the Cornish fairies. And there's two different generic breeds of fairies. There's the Seelie court and the Unseelie courts, and essentially that means the good and the evil fairies. There's the jack-o'-lantern in Cornwall and Devon. And the interesting thing is, not all fairies are outside. There's lots of tales and stories throughout folklore that speak of fairies within the home, or within the farm, or the barnyard, or even the abbey or the church. That they all share a common theme though. The majority of them are all small men, no wings, with a beard. They help with household chores and fix things overnight. There's the hob, the brownie. They're also said to perform pranks on lazy servants, so, you know, keep up to date with your chores. There's the lubber fiend. Interestingly enough, you can tempt them, if you're after something to be repaired overnight, you can tempt them by leaving a saucer of milk by your fireplace overnight. There's the abbey lubber, which lives in an abbey. The red cap, yeah, it's quite vicious, a red cap. You don't want to cross a red cap. You know, I'm going to perform an experiment. I'm going to leave a saucer of milk out overnight by a fireplace and see if I can attract a lubber fiend to my house to fix something or repair something. I hope they like soy milk, that's all I've got. No, I don't actually have any fireplaces in my house. It's all central heating, so I'm hoping that leaving the saucer of milk by a radiator has the same effect and attracts a lubberkind to my house. If not, I've got somewhere to dump my cookies in. I'll check it again in the morning. That's a tight one now. Sorry for the drop in quality, but where we're going, I don't fancy taking my expensive equipment. Lovely day for it. Now, while my trap is laid to catch a potential house fairy, I'm off to explore the legends of cave-dwelling fairies. Because in the 1820s, Cornish miners travelled to America to work in the western Pennsylvania coal mines, and again during the California gold rush of the 1840s and 50s. And the Cornish miners not only took with them their mining skills, but also their folklore. Specifically, the tales of their knackers. Now in America these fairies became known as Tommyknockers, but back here in England they're usually referred to as simply knockers. Now, I've located some abandoned mines in the northwest of England where, over the centuries, there's been numerous sightings of these knockers. Just on my way there now. As usual, you've got to get there via a creepy forest. Seems I spend most of my time lurking in bushes and trees for this show. Trust me to go the long way round. Ooh. Oh, down there. The badger set, I think. I'll just reverse the camera around, hold on. It's a rather large rabbit hole. It's probably a badger set. I don't see any at this time of day. Onward. Okay. Which way do I go now? The suspicion I have to head a bit further northeast of where I am. Yeah, I'm sure. I know, stupidly, I always do this. I didn't bring a map with me, but I studied a map before I set off because it seemed pretty simple. Now, rocks from this mine were originally used to build houses in the local villages, as well as the church in the town centre. And records of it being used as a quarry mine date back hundreds of years. So hopefully, I too should come across some knockers. In the late 18th century, 4 children exploring the sandstone caverns vanished into the tunnel system. Fortunately, one child survived and told a chilling story about tiny men with white beards who chased the 4 of them and killed his 3 friends. Apparently, a number of people had gone missing by the caverns around the same time. So 2 armed soldiers descended with torches and claimed they not only found a pile of human bones down there, but also the ruins of an ancient stone church lit by 3 enormous candles. Within this church they described a sort of stone altar formed from carved gargoyles. The soldiers also claimed to have heard whispering voices coming from the darkness. After a second investigation found evidence of possible cannibalism, gunpowder was used to seal those parts of the tunnels off forever. And in the 19th century, the site was still used as a mine, but when mining the site did eventually cease, the surrounding woodland was used as a game reserve by the Earl of Derby until the Second World War, when they became an ammunition storage facility for the anti-aircraft position in the northwest of England, and these days it's mostly frequented by dog walkers. So who knows what I could find. I'm going in. I don't know if I'll be able to see anything, but the camera should pick up. I've got a torch with me. just gonna sit down here for a bit. This torch isn't very good. It's only just lighting up certain outlines. I don't even think the camera's picking it up. I keep hearing strange noises, but the thing is, these caverns are quite big and there's a few entrances. So it could be voices of people near the other entrance, and as I say, there are dog walkers that come past here and cyclists. The voices may echo through the caves. What was that? I don't think there's anything there. But anyway, the other thing to remember, there's rodents, lizards, bats, all sorts of creatures, maybe even birds. Certain birds can nest in caves, and those sounds would echo and be amplified by the harmonics of the rock. So it's even just something like a bat or a bird fluttering its wings would make a really strange sound. I keep hearing rocks moving, but that could just be mice or lizards. Certainly very creepy down here. Very dark. I should have brought a much better flashlight. And perhaps a night vision camera would have helped. I didn't want to bring my expensive camera with it all being slippy. I just had this premonition that I would end up dropping the camera in the cave or hitting it against a rock and breaking it, so I brought my cheap camcorder. I'm gonna head outside now. I can't see a thing. There could be someone or something stood right in front of me and I would have no idea. I'm leaving, I'm getting out of here. I heard a few noises, probably mice or birds. Couldn't see anything. It's now too unsafe to go deep into what remains of the caverns today. The drop is rather steep and you wouldn't want to come across any of the vicious fairy folk that supposedly dwell in the darkness. Speaking of vicious fairy folk, I think it's time to check on my lub trap and see if my milk dish has aroused any house fairies. Ow! Nope, it didn't work. Oh well. Now I've got a bowl of stale soya milk to throw away. Oh, it needs a good mop down here. Look at the dust bunnies. How embarrassing. Edit this bit out, please. My knees! Ow! Now, the folklore of all these household elves is said to have spawned from the legend of Fairies of Roman mythology, which entered the British folklore during the first half of the 1st century when the Romans successfully conquered the British Isles following Emperor Claudius's occupation in 43 AD. However, those are just some of the household spirits and indoor fairies. Once you venture into nature, you'll see that the majority of British fairy folklore is rooted in Arthurian legend. Long before the old counties of Cumberland and Westmoreland, the area we now call Cumbria was once an ancient Celtic kingdom. From the days of King Arthur to the tales of fairy folk, there is a lot to uncover in Cumbria, especially in the region known as the Lake District. At the top of this hill is a vantage point where you get a really good view of the lake, so I'm about to head up there and see if I can see the water. There are countless legends and stories about fairy folk in this region, from gateways to secret worlds beneath ancient hills to magical fairy stone steps. Supposedly, if you can walk down them without touching the sides, you get granted a wish. Even though there's no photos or video evidence of the mysterious beings that supposedly inhabit the woodlands surrounding the lakes at Cumbria, it's understandable why people get stimulated with the tales once you witness the spectacular landscapes for yourself. The lake itself's about 11 miles wide and bustling with people cruising and visiting tea rooms, so I'm going to head further north of Lake Windermere to find somewhere more tranquil. Most tourists and ramblers are drawn to the western shore of Lake Thirlmere, to Stair Wood and Raven Crag, a popular local vantage point, but I'm going to stick to the eastern rim, on a path less trodden.
Cause now I'm drowning in April
The incline here is populated by what are locally known as fairy trees, usually hawthorn, ash or oak trees with exposed roots and surrounded by rocks and mossy boulders. These are the areas where the fairies are mostly sighted, performing their merry dances. So, at the summit I take a moment to reflect on my journey so far. I've yet to witness an actual fairy for myself, and this is disappointing, but with views such as this, it's no wonder that curious minds are inspired with the yearning for evidence of the fairy realm. I'm not going to close on a final conclusion and tell you whether I think fairies are real or not, or whether there's enough evidence to say if they might be real. I think when it comes to fairy folklore, whether it's the child leaving his baby tooth under the pillow for the tooth fairy to leave a shiny coin in place of, or grandma leaving acorns out to stop elves rusting her twin tub top loader, I think sometimes we need a little magic and mystery in our lives.